This is VRoc. 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 Chops. This is VRoc Chops.
All right, welcome back, Chop Nation. We back with another one. We got my big bro, a legend, one of the GOATs, Mr. Prof. Cosby Smith. We just call him Cos, but for you young folks, you call him Prof. Smith. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Cool, everybody just clapping up. Give me a little drum roll right here. Cool, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. You ready to drop some of this knowledge?
Chops.
Yeah, I'm always about the knowledge, man. You gotta take the world outside of your own classroom.
Well, yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, bro, we're gonna jump right on in this thing. So we're gonna start with those same old questions. So we're gonna start with what high school did you attend? And for the people that don't know you, what college did you attend?
Well, born and raised in Detroit. Attended, graduated from Cass Technical High School. Best high school in the world. Came out of there. That's actually where I got my start in the drums. Because before then, I was a trumpet player. So I started on the trumpet in like second grade, and my eighth grade year, my middle school started a marching band. We had a concert band. They started a marching band, and I was a trumpet section leader, of course. Had been for 2 years. Had decent range. Could play up to like high E's. Had some control. My tone wasn't that great, but I could play a little bit. And I started marching drums, and it was like, and I couldn't take my eye off of it. So I asked him, "Can I play the drums?" He was like, "No, you play the trumpet." He's a trumpet section leader.
Yeah.
So I got to high school, man, and I joined the swim team because they didn't have a marching band my eighth grade year. They had a really big jazz band, concert band, symphonic band. Like they had like 15 ensembles already there. So when I got there, I joined the swim team because I could swim. And we had that first pep rally, and I heard some drums. You get that where that coming from, look. And from then on, like I finished out the swim season because I ain't no quitter. I finished out the season, but that next semester, I was joining the band, and she was like, "What you play?"
Yeah.
and I said the drums. Hadn't played drums a lick of my life, a day of my life. So that's how I got in the drum section.
Cool. What college did you attend?
Attended Tennessee State University.
There we go. Like we're gonna do something right up in here. We looking real good right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So old Detroit, you the second you back to back Detroit they would have had cool, man. So my next question would be what's one of your favorite rudiments or your favorite rudiment? Why you consider it to be your favorite?
My favorite rudiment has always been the paradiddle.
Okay.
They feel good coming off the wrist. I mean, them singles going into the doubles. You don't have to play either one of them for too long before you switch. It works well with my wrist. I always had a dominant paradiddle.
Okay.
Dominant paradiddle.
Cool. So I guess you kind of answered that question. What was that moment for you that you knew that you wanted to be a drummer? So I guess that was the middle school years going into eighth grade.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to learn how to play the drums. I knew at that moment I didn't have no sticks. But luckily, when I got to high school, my high school band director, she was a percussion instructor. Well, she's a percussion. Sharon Allen, she was a percussionist, so that really helped out. And once I got on a drum, because when I got in the band, she put me on cymbals. I ain't know how to play nothing, so she put me on cymbals.
Right.
But I got them sticks and got the chopper. And in the middle of 10th grade, when I thought I was ready to play snare, I wasn't quite. And like, I don't know, it was just a feeling that I knew. You know what I'm saying? On the inside, yeah, I'm good at this. I could be pretty good at this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was that? What's one of your favorite memories as a drummer? What's one of your favorite drum memories that you can recall?
Man, this is gonna sound funny. And if I've ever spoken in front of your band or spoke to your drummers, I've probably told this story before.
Okay.
My favorite moment was the moment that I had to march in the Thanksgiving Day parade on cowbell.
On cowbell.
On cowbell.
Could have used a little more cowbell.
And this is in high school.
Chops.
I was in high school.
Okay.
In that moment, when that this was during the year or the semester that I really figured out that I could be good. So the story is that I got into it with my section leader talking smack. You know, he went and told the band director. Didn't matter to me. She jumped on my head, this, that, and the other. She demotes me from off of bass drum because I was on bass drum that year. She demotes me off of bass drum to punish me and put me on cowbell.
This is VRoc Chops.
Ego. But what it did for me was it challenged my desire to be there.
Okay.
Do you really want to be there? Or are you there for something else? Because if you're there for the group, if you're there to get better, you're going to do whatever it takes, whether you see the benefit in it or not. You submit to the direction of the director. So that was actually my best moment as a student.
Okay. Cool. You want to share another one, or is this the only one?
Yeah, the one at the collegiate level as a professor. We've had in the last 5 years, we've had a lot of interesting drum battles. You know, a lot of interesting drum battles. Even when I was at Alcorn, it was a lot of interesting drum battles. But the weekend in Virginia was a weekend because, you know, I feel like it was the first time we really went way outside of our element. And to see how receptive the state of Virginia was to our presentation, it really did something for me. It really did something for me. I would talk to students, you know, via email, chat, or whatever. But to see it and to, you know, hear people talking about what they're getting out of the battle, and you standing there as a director and you can hear it. You walking past people giving you compliments. It was just different coming from Virginia. They received as well at Virginia State and at Hampton. Hampton got a beautiful campus too, so that was probably my favorite moment as a professor.
Cool, man. So what's one of the biggest life takeaways that you can apply from you playing drums that you applied to your everyday life now as a professor, a teacher, a band director, and just in life in general?
Anybody could be good at anything. Now, that don't mean you have to be gifted at it. You just have to have the desire and the commitment to doing whatever it takes to get there. That's why we practice warm-ups so much. You play it, whatever your first warm-up was, you probably played it a million trillion times.
Right.
And it's a work regimen and a commitment level to 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 achieving a goal. So for me, the biggest takeaway is commit, dedicate it, and work towards whatever it is. So if I decide to be an electrician, and I take that same work ethic, I'm gonna be a bomb electrician. If I decide to be a pilot, same work ethic, I'm gonna be a bomb pilot. If I can dedicate 25 or 30 hours, 40 hours a week to rehearsals, that ain't the job. Like that's after school.
Right.
So if I can dedicate a whole full-time job worth of brain power, workload, physical, all that type of stuff. Like if I can dedicate it to something, I'm gonna be great at it. I'm not just gonna be good. I'm gonna be great at it. So, that's definitely one of the things I teach my students too.
Cool. Man, that's appreciate that, bro. Man, one of the dopest thing about you, because there are not many, but a lot of percussionists. I don't think there are a lot of them. Maybe they are, but you are a percussionist first, but you're also a full band director over a full band. What is that? How is that speaking to people that's inspiring to do the same things
So,
you do? I know you have that ability. Well, you in that position, Mr. Little, Jackson State, Devin Fitzgerald, Mississippi Valley. All those guys. Play in percussion sections and now are band directors. And I'm pretty sure some more guys. I just can't. Those are the few I can think of.
yeah, it's definitely more out there, but um, to the percussionists that want to go into this field, um, most of the time, your biggest issue is going to be communication, is being able to communicate how you want the music to sound to somebody that plays the instrument that they use totally different limbs than you do to produce a sound. That's the biggest, because everything we do is based off of, this with them hands.
Right.
This is totally different.
Right.
Um, and the experience, that comes from it helps you to communicate whatever you're trying to do, because you can communicate it with how you felt. You can remember how you felt playing. Like for me, starting out on trumpet helps out a lot, because I know the brass issues. Like I know them for myself.
Right.
Experiencing them, I can talk from that point of view, which helps with having a kid to trust what you say. So learn as much as you can in those instrumental methods courses, the woodwinds, the double reeds, the brass. Learn as much as you can. Practice them horns. Find one of them horns, whether it's a woodwind or a brass, and you get good at it. Don't get decent, get good. I ain't saying be professional, but get good at it to where you feel comfortable being able to sit in an ensemble that could play level 3 or 4 music, and you can sight read and be good. Get good at it, because the wealth of knowledge that you're going to be able to give your students is going to be far greater, because you are now being able to connect the percussion knowledge with the brass knowledge.
Right.
It's you'll have the best of both worlds. So, pay attention to them instrumental methods courses, go to them sectionals, go to brass sectionals, and just sit.
Okay.
And at some point, you might want to ask a question or two to the section leader or some of the freshmen. Just go sit and just listen. Hey, I ain't trying to, intrude. Go in there and sit and listen. You'll pick up some things. If you can, start writing fanfares. For high school, college, start writing fanfares.
Okay. Cool. So, I know a couple of little stories of, past incidents and life experiences that you had while you were marching in the collegiate level or on the collegiate level. Let's see, guys, how have your experiences and your hardship helped you as you are now in that top seat at the side in the saddle of your own program, looking back at young cars, this current cars, looking at young cars, but you applying it to what you got now?
Trust, and I'm a huge basketball fan, and I'm not a 76ers fan,
All right.
but trust the process. I learned my first semester of grad school, one of my professors told me, he said, education take 10 years to come around. And he used to say that like every so often. Don't forget, education take 10 years around, it takes 10 years to come around. What I mean by that is a lot of times the things that are happening now, it takes 10 years to get the harvest from. So my hardships in high school, my hardships in college, all are the reasons why I'm successful. Like, if you know my background from TSU, my history being in that band program, it was it had some complications to it, and a lot of people got at me, or I was not allowed to really grow or move the way I wanted to move, for different reasons. And those very reasons is why Bloody Rain is who Bloody Rain is. Just the whole thought process to it. The whole idea of really intensifying the in-between beats and how to move in between cadences. A lot of people say, that's too much. How is it too much? If I can put it on paper, it's not too much. It's too much for your brain right now with where you are to process it. But the more you listen to it, the more you can process it. Right. So, I didn't want this job as a college band director. That wasn't a goal of mine.
Right. So what was that goal?
My goal was to go back to be my high school band director.
Okay.
For a decade, and then probably go to be a principal. That was my goal. And it just, God saw something different.
Yeah. And you touched a lot of lives along the way.
This is VRoc Chops.
So let's talk about so this is not your first collegiate stint as a instructor. You spent some time down in Mississippi. What was that experience like?
Man, the Alcorn experience was exactly what I needed. It was the first time, because I went to Tennessee State, which is not in the SWAC. I kind of went to school for the band director and stuff. I went to the SWAC, and it was grueling. Excuse me. It was grueling. Every week somebody's at you. It's every week. You don't get down weeks. And to me, it allowed me to really feel comfortable with showcasing what I had, what I thought, how I could lead, to the world on that scale. Because being from Detroit, we don't have big bands like that. Nowhere, not even the colleges up there, unless you go to the, the PWIs. And ain't no HBCUs up north, really. So when I got down there, it's 200 every week. You know what I'm saying? The bands across from you is 200 plus every week. And going down there and the talent that they had, it was an awesome freshman class. Dr. Murray, now Dr. Martin, like they allowed me to really kind of flourish and really take ownership of that drum section and really tighten up what they already had. Because I just kind of taught them how to think a little bit tighter, how to, be a lot more efficient, and pay attention to a lot more details. I loved it. Loved it. I hated it was short, as short as it was, but everything happened for a reason.
Yeah, I remember when you were down there, we was talking. He like, man, Vince, dude, they got some nice stuff. And he like one of the coolest things about a good leader and a good teacher. Number one, they not gonna come in trying to reinvent the wheel. They're gonna come in, assess what's there, and try to implement something that can elevate whatever's there. Not come in and say, "No, we ain't playing this, we ain't doing this," and you went in there because we talked about it, like, man, and you straight up embraced what they had, even with the tonal type bass drum parts, and you're like, man, Vince, you got to listen to it, you got to listen to it. It's there, man. Like this stuff is kill. Like it's I was like so. For me, and I know a lot of even my guys here at White Haven, uh, the Alcorn became, we started focusing more on it once you got there. And I know they appreciate, that time that you did spend there because once you got there, they kind of put them, they were always doing that thing. No disrespect, not taking no shots. I'm just my perspective of how I've looked at Alcorn. Uh, before you got there, I'm pretty sure they had their moments, but once you got there, you can see the elevation in that drum line and that John carry on. And immediately from that, your first year there, one of the guys I had here at the time immediately committed to going there because of how it was something different. That was your first year there. He never mentioned Alcorn ever before. And once you got there and he saw, he like, you know what, I'm going to Alcorn. And even when you left, because his mind had got there, he stayed. He like, I'm still going. So yeah, man, I know they appreciate it. And they have been, excelling ever since then. It hadn't been decline in what they were able to do to actually keep getting better. Shout out to Sterling and all the other guys that's down there, man. I understand. I had a couple of guys go down there, so yeah,
See,
man. So
what happened at Alcorn was I was their first real full-time percussion instructor, like ever in the school. They had never had a real percussion instructor, like one that was on the staff. They always had people that would come in, and do rehearsals and things, but it wasn't, a trained percussion mind to really lead. So I just stepped into that role and just did what I know to do.
right,
And anytime, and this is a tip for period, when you're dealing with people, not and even in music, always use the talent that's available.
right,
It's just we talk about superstars in sports and how they use the talent that's available. They make the most out of what's there, and they fill in the gaps with what's needed. I'm gonna do everything that I can do, and then I'm gonna use you and you and you for this and this and this. It's a reversal. You know what I'm saying? That pulls in more people on the front end, and then you just kind of coming in on the back end, looking at everything and filling in the gaps as needed. That has always worked for me.
This is VRoc Chops.
right. Yeah, man. And I've always, appreciate you for a lot of stuff, even with me, working and teaching here. And like I said, I had a lot of guys that I've taken different philosophy from and how they approach and teach. And all that worked out for me, even going down here to Oklahoma to help build them up, get them rolling and get us to, where we are now. It's been a journey, but you've always looked out for me also. You always pulled me to the side. Like when you come up here, we practicing, you come, hey Vince, hey, what do you think about such and greater, I mean, even provide opportunities for me, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people may not know, well, I'm pretty sure they don't, but there was one point I was looking at Alabama A&M. Well, we were looking at each other, and that was based off of your word, you putting me in that position. So yeah, I've always been appreciative of you in all things. Even when we, the little time we did with Atlanta at the beginning. So cool, man. So man, look, huh?
Before then, when you first came back, the transition between JJ and you to you, and that came about, and like you have the gift. Like it is when you have the gift, you see it in other people. And me, you already had Jeff Thomas on there. When you came in, like we knew it. Because he and I had a conversation, we knew it. Like Vince is the one. And at that, well, even if you wouldn't have been the next one, we were still gonna, help out as much as possible,
Right.
water the flower, give it some sun, do what we can. But you had it, you know what I'm saying? You
Right.
had it.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I really, really do, man. And I appreciate my boys too. All y'all fuckaholics, my boys, appreciate y'all. Corruption, appreciate y'all. Cause they gotta believe in something, man. You can't just say I'm this person and they not buying in. So just appreciate the buy-in, keep buying in. Oh, so man, we had Potts talking. I know your levels up, but you can talk now. He was talking about this one specific game versus Alabama and them. And so with Burles and Trey, bucking the system a little bit. But he said he don't remember you being there. Or can't remember. Were you at that game? Or do you remember that game?
I remember that game. So that's the game. Was he? That's the first game I missed. That was the first game the last game, the first game I missed on suspension. I got suspended like that Monday before. So I
Ah,
couldn't see that game. But I know the game. You talking about the time when
uh,
was Virtus is the loudest bass drummer I ever marched with.
yeah.
Period.
He from the Hague.
Yeah, it was that I now my last year was 99.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to march with TP. I didn't get a
Mm-hmm.
chance to march with some of those other folk. You know what I'm saying? But from my first year was 94. Took a couple years off in there. My last year was 99.
Yeah,
Is the loudest
yeah.
bass, and it ain't close.
Oh man, that's funny, man. So you got to give me another one of them good stories that you can share. That ain't too. It's over the top, but not too far out there.
No, man, it's like the people that you've had on the show, the Potts family. You
Yeah,
know, when they have always been good people,
yeah,
always been good people. From the time I met Potts, he been good.
yeah,
Um, that last year in '99, I tell my students this story. Whenever they go through hard times, this generation don't really like to sacrifice.
yeah.
They don't like to really grind. I tell them a story. I was like, man, my last year marching, I ain't have a place to stay.
Mm,
No meal plan. I wasn't on no housing plan. And I was just sleeping on, people floors. Like Potts floor. I was on Potts floor. I was on Cheese floor a couple nights. I ain't had nothing to eat. I used their meal cards. I was just trying to make it through to see it through to the end.
yeah,
And I ended up getting after I got kicked out, ended up getting a job, moving off campus, and moved on, and still ended up finishing. But there are times of struggle. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the process. You got to learn to do with little, so you know what to do when you get more.
mm,
But the Potts always been good people. When I relocated to Memphis in 2008 with that program that Jeff Thomas was talking about at Douglas High School, um, where I started that program.
yeah,
Um, when I first got back, the Potts was looking out for me, the whole family. They would check on me, invited me over, me and my niece over for dinner a couple times for the holidays, checked on me, invited us over, like come over. Like they've always been good people.
mm.
They've always been good people.
Yeah, man. They definitely are, man. One of my favorite set of people in life, and they all got this pretty much the same personality. Till upset them. They got to switch it, but overall, that's the same. All of them across the board, mellow, the same way, man, same way. So you kind of was touching on some stuff about hardship. Can you can we dissect that a little bit more, just for like people that are in school and things come up, because you have a lot of guys. I'm experiencing it myself, when the first hardship comes, like you said, they don't know how to push through. Oh man, such. I gotta stop doing this. I gotta stop school so I can go get a job to do this instead of just, trying to make the best of those situations. What do you have to say about that?
So, and I'm not trying to preach.
I
I'm
got
saying
it.
college is about the grind. You know, I I really believe that social media in this area is a big detriment.
Mhm.
They're trying to push to the world a specific message. This is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I have. And it's on every platform. And they're always trying to compete with the Joneses. You know, if they doing this, they doing that. And they all struggling.
Right.
They all struggling.
All right.
They try to, mask, and want you to see something.
Right.
And they don't, and they looking at it like, if they got this, why I gotta do without, you know. And that's not it. College is about the grind. You have to commit to a craft. Commit. When you looking overseas at any movies, when you're looking at movies and you see somebody getting good at something, you see them sacrificing. When you see any of these athletes and these young actors and actresses, anybody in a movie where it talks about them getting good at something, you see a point of time where they had to sacrifice.
Right.
And the people that tend to stay successful, not just achieve successful, but to stay successful, they pay more attention to the grind.
Right.
Like they hung on to the hard part. They really did the best that they could and just embraced it and didn't run from it so much. And then you have people like me who ran from it a little bit.
Mhm.
Once I figured out that's what it was, then I grind, got a hold of it and kind of can persevere a little bit different. But the ones that run from it,
Yeah.
that just means you're gonna run into that same wall in a different city. You run into that same wall on a different street. You're gonna run into that same wall in a different place, but you're not going nowhere. Really, you're in the same radius, running into the same wall.
Right.
In this radius, you may have $50 more in your pocket, but you ain't working to having thousands of dollars in your pocket.
Right.
So, embrace the grind.
This is VRoc Chops.
And I think a lot of, like you say, social media do play a part, and then a lot of people want to grow up so quick and jump into this world. Like, hey, are you going to be grown way longer than you young? You know what I'm saying? Then you're a young person, or you're gonna have responsibilities way longer than you do. And so, young folks, stop trying to jump and rush life and slow down and embrace your moment. Don't try to focus on. And some people, I understand your circumstances. Okay, but I don't have the same one. But again, don't jump into wanting to be. I got my own this. I got my own that. Like if your folks can help you along the way, man, take that help as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying not want more out of life. Of course, everybody wants more, but don't jump in it too quick.
I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Once you in, you in. You know what I'm saying? And trying to get back out and repeat some stuff, you're gonna miss a certain part of life. Me personally, I feel, and I you hear it college ain't for everybody, but I feel everybody should at least try it once. This is just me personally. Try, go, try it out just to see, because you don't get to experience that that college life all your life. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just a moment that you can't get back. You can always have that. And if it don't work out, you feel like, hey, this is ain't for me. You get you a trade, or you find you an avenue that you can be successful in, and just jump into it. Ain't nothing wrong with it at all. But I feel like every young person should try college for at least a semester, at the most. You know what I'm saying? At the least, the bare minimum, a semester of college, just to see. And then if it's all right, well, it got highs and lows. Everything's gonna have highs and lows. But I guarantee your life bill gonna be high forever.
Ain't that right? He ain't lying.
So, but think about that.
A couple of things on that. The first thing about trying to become an adult too fast, absolutely trying to become an adult too fast. And don't like to pay bills, don't want to pay bills.
He ain't lying.
Right.
But you say you want to be an adult. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely slow down. You're only going to be a child first 17 years, 18 years, 20, years of your life. And I guess I have to say it this way in the day that we're living in now. But there is a specific ethnicity who do not believe in pushing their kids out their house at the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain ethnicity who support their kids as long as their kids need support and don't, you know, demand so much from them. And once their kids leave, they tend to not come back.
Right.
You know, I believe that there's another ethnicity who's so hung on by this age of 18, you got to be out of my house and grown and have figured it out.
Because they
And
rushed into life themselves and they trying to get back into him. That's what it is. That's why they want you out at 18, because they done rushed into their life.
Yeah. So, it has created, an unhealthy situation for the youth. And that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to feel like by the age of 18, I gotta be like for real grown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even kids that grow up in two-family whole households, whole neighborhoods, whole cities, a lot of them don't figure it out by 18.
Right.
So, if you grew up like me in a single home, just me and my mom, the only child, never knew dad, like we not gonna have it by 18.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I know you real big on the warming up. I know like that's one of your favorite things, warm ups. What exercises and methods do you suggest for like these young guys coming up or young ladies coming up, that can, kind of help really develop them? And I know you're not gonna give too much out because you got to save it for your hustle, but
No. I believe in sharing.
okay.
In sharing. Just like I've heard you mention on a different podcast with somebody else. I've heard Jeff mention it. Is I use Johnny Lane warm-ups.
Yeah.
I use Johnny Lane warm-ups. I believe in him. He is the GOAT.
He is.
Of this.
He is.
HBCU percussion, that I don't know of anybody else that has more influence, not just on HBCU percussion,
Right.
but definitely on HBCU percussion than Johnny Lee Lane. I don't know of anybody in his realm.
Exactly.
Anybody in his realm that may be close to his realm, he taught.
Right.
But I don't know if it's anybody in his realm.
It's not. He's in a league of his own, man. He's definitely the GOAT. Prof Line. Shout out to you, Prof Line. You've been like, listen, most people that's in our little intertwine is gonna definitely appreciate and know the realness of Prof Line, because he's a bad boy. He's a bad boy.
That's a bad man. The first I remember when he came, spring of '96. He did a percussion clinic at TSU. That was before the semester before he started coming in the summertime, returning back in the summertime. And me and the percussion instructor was not on good terms.
Okay. Who was the percussion instructor at that time?
Tommy Leroy Davis, TD.
TD. Okay.
We were not on good, terms. And I did not want to come because TD was bragging about his boy who was coming from Southern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like not even 18 months previous to that. I'm here going to war with Southern snare drummers in California.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that about?
My freshman year, it was a battle of the bands in Oakland.
Oh.
So they flew us out. They flew Southern out. They flew, was it Morris Brown? I think it was Morris Brown. And yeah, because it was some, I ain't gonna say that part of the story, but it's Morris Brown and Howard.
Okay.
So they flew us out for a battle of the bands. Yeah. It was nice. That was my first ever time getting on a plane. Freshman year in December, we go out that weekend. and they had us all in the hotel. They had us some time where we could intermingle and party, and some practice time in the actual arena, and it was scheduled. And I never forget it. We marching in. We were scheduled. It was alphabetical order, so we were scheduled after Southern.
Mm.
No, Southern don't follow rules.
Yeah.
They go over their time, and they coming out, and we coming in, and the drummers is in the front. So they open up them doors, and all you heard was,
Uh,
so we boxed up real quick. You know what I'm saying? Thinking we about to go to war, but they marched, their way. It wasn't that type of event.
okay.
But their drummers we had made eye contact, and we said we were gonna finish it that night in the hotel.
Yeah.
So we met up that night in the hotel.
Yeah.
And it was two of them, and it was 5 of us.
Mm.
They sectionally named Keyhole was a monster. Keyhole, one of the fastest dudes I ever seen. And the other dude, we wore him out. Keyhole, we didn't, but the other dude, we wore out. But we battled it out that night,
Yeah.
and kicked it afterward.
Yeah.
So, it was that was a nice weekend too.
Cool. So when Teddy was telling me about his partner from Southern,
I didn't listen to Johnny Lee Lang. I ain't know Johnny Lee Lang. I had heard, he wrote all these, cadences at Southern. Johnny Need a Haircut, Please Be, Mamu.
Jackson State.
Yeah, he did all these cadences. And I'm like, Firebarker, and I'm like, man, I don't, he opened his mouth. 2 seconds after he opened his mouth, I'm glued.
Yeah.
Glued to him. My attention is up. I'm like, man, he know what he's talking about. And he kind of funny.
Yeah.
He moving over to this other percussion instrument, and it was the first time that I ran into somebody that was better than me. I ain't trying to be. It's not a cocky moment, but somebody that was better than me at everything.
Yeah.
Like on everything. On mallets, he was better than me. On drum set, he was better than me. He was better than me on timpani. He had better hands than me.
Yeah.
And he was like 40, maybe 50 years old. And I was like, what? So it was definitely motivating.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Prof Lane. I'm pretty sure he gonna catch it. So that's my guy. That's my guy, man. Cool, bro. Cool, man. So so what year were you ever section leader at Tennessee State?
Not on paper.
Oh man.
I was always the person leading behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years I was assistant section leader, but I never had the section leader title.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's cool, man. Some of the best ones don't ever get that title.
Yeah. Again, I'm all of that experience, like it really, what it showed me was, guys, you can know what you're talking about. You can have all this experience in the world, and you can't make nobody like your ideas. And you have to be okay with that. Like, you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with your peers. You have to be okay with your superiors not liking your ideas. Yeah. And you can be right. And you got to move forward.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of those ideas was pushing a whole lot of those beats together, looking at it from a different point of view, and looking at the phrasing in percussion as more melodic than rhythmic. But that's what I really got out of it. So when I got to Lane, and it was pretty much starting from scratch, was these are all my ideas. This is a conglomeration of everything I've experienced. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to showcase all of my talent and my kids. Right. And it just so happened that we had recruited probably the most talented freshman class that I know.
Hands down. Hands down.
On so many different levels. There was a lot of goats in there.
Yeah.
So we just, once we kind of taught them how we thought, and a lot of that was Thomas. A a lot of that was Thomas. He was back there, in them sectionals when I couldn't.
Right.
Come up in the evenings. I would be with him in the daytime, or just giving them instruction, but teaching them how to come up with stuff, teaching them how to fish instead of giving them the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And they learn how to fish, baby.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
learn.
They still eating off of that fish. Tell me y'all.
Still eat.
So yeah, but hey, shout out to for the young people. Remember, you don't have to have the title to be a leader. So I always take that little reminder wherever you go. You don't have to have the title to be considered the leader or a leader. Just do your part, man, and make sure you have the best interest of the section first. So let me ask you this: what was that? When you was coming out of high school, was there any other schools that you considered, or was TSU number one? And then, if what made you choose TSU out of all the schools, if you had others?
And man, like most high school kids, my mind changed several times my senior year.
Yeah,
I know schools that try to hang their hat on, but you always wanted to come here. Like everybody, like every other high school kid who wanted to go to every good college at some point, they
right.
mind changed with the wind.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So at one point, because I got like 10 full rides, 11 full rides, but at one point, the ones I really wanted to go to at one point was in no order. Central State, Tennessee State, Southern, Jackson State. I thought about Pine Bluff because their band director at the time was coming out of Detroit. He's now at Howard. I thought about FAM. They percussion section don't do it for me. Michigan State, Central Michigan. Central Michigan was the only school that didn't offer me a full ride that I considered. They offered me a half. But Michigan and Michigan State offered me a full. I never considered Kentucky State, even though I got accepted and offered. So yeah, Central, TSU, Jackson, possibly Pine Bluff. So those four, yeah, those four.
What made you decide on Tennessee State? What was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Nashville.
If you know, cause I kind of go against the grain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
As that is one of my signature traits about me, kind of going against the grain a little bit. And I was a huge fan of Jackson. I had seen them on Motown, do the Motown 25 or Motown 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally grew up around the corner from Motown to where
Right.
people, like I grew up around it.
Okay.
So it was a big deal in our neighborhood. And my junior year of high school, my high school went down to J-State homecoming. So, we had some people to go down in 93 from my high school, and I just didn't want to follow them. And it was four of us from my high school snare line that all went to TSU my freshman year and made the snare line.
Oh.
So half the snare line was from my high school.
Oh man, I never knew that. You spoke on your band director. It was a female then? Is this the same lady that's there now?
Yeah. Well, not now. She retired, recently retired for the second time.
Okay.
But yeah, she was the one that started the program in 1990 and recently retired. She's a percussionist from Central State.
Cool. So did she have those same expectations about the GPA 2 point, what was it? Was it 2.5?
Yeah. All that stuff was from her.
Cool.
The approach of teaching people how to fish, because we had my high school is what most people would call an optional school. We had tests to get in.
Right.
We actually picked majors. Like it's like at the time I was there, it was like 70 something majors that you could pick from, and include like engineering and robotics at like 14 years old. So as a music major, like I took an actual percussion class. It was be about 15 or 20 of us in a percussion class, and we was learning rudiments, learning how to read, learning the scales, learning how to tune the timpani, had playing tests, reading tests, speed tests, and you put some black kids on some drums, and you got all these different tests, and on drums, there's a lot of testosterone. It's a lot of I want to be the best, a lot of healthy competition. And when you mix in there, like I went to high school with Ali Jackson. Ali Jackson was Wynton Marsalis's drum set player. He became Wynton Marsalis's drum set player at age 18. So just think how cold he was. Come fresh out of high school. You ain't out of high school 30 days.
Yeah.
And witness. You know what I'm saying? So he was in there, and we had some other cats that was really talented, that kept feeding us. And we had, healthy spirit of competition.
Okay. Cool, man. That's what's up, man. So I know because like in recent time, the Cass band, they didn't really seem very, very big. What was like the biggest you guys that you recall the band being your time there?
Yeah. When I was there, when no bands are really big in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
Now, you'll find schools in Southfield. Like if you've heard of Southfield or Southfield Lathrop at one time.
Was Southfield purple?
They were purple.
Yeah,
purple. Or like now Oak Park. That's not the city of Detroit. They're the surrounding areas. But the band is big because they're the only school in that city. So, and in Southfield, it was those two schools at one point. So in Detroit, our schools, is smaller. Our band programs are smaller. But when I was in high school, we were 120 to 150. I think the smallest we were around 100 when I was in high school.
Oh yeah, see, that's when back then, people love band a whole lot more than what we're doing now. We got to get it back.
This is VRoc Chops.
Let's talk about this. Maybe some people don't know this about you, but you were also the band director at Osborne High School in Detroit. And at my time in school, they were known for the one-line band that was cranking. And we actually battled y'all in Nashville. TSU Homecoming at White Creek, I think. And you literally, y'all did have that one-liner band. And one song I always remember y'all playing was "Ring My Bell."
I inherited a monster, at Osborne. That was my first teaching gig in Detroit. Had a lot of talented kids, talented kids with direction and some music. And again, I've always believed in using the kids and what they bring to the table. And dealing with competition, that heavy dose of competition can be really healthy, and it can help you in battles. That was some.
So did you brought the band to Memphis those couple of years they came, right? For the Ultimate Battle of the Bands? Was that you that brought them?
No, that was the previous band director, but his last name was Smith too.
Oh, okay. What did he end up doing?
He left there and actually went to the middle school that was feeding me.
Oh, okay.
So he handed me over the program, went to the middle school that's feeding me. And then the thing about Detroit now is like 15 years ago, when we went through the whole automotive industry faltered, that was like 60% of the whole economy in the Detroit area and a lot of in the state. So, that taxpayers' money couldn't go pay the teachers. Killed all the music programs. Programs. And they wasn't big already.
Right.
So,
man, cool, man. Well, you came in Memphis, man, and you left a great impact on the city. You touched a lot of young people's lives because of you. I know you starting that program back up at Douglas and allowing those kids, and a lot of those kids that went off to college, did graduate. And one of them, I think he was even George. He became a bass drum section leader at Tennessee State, I believe, if I'm correct. And that's all because of you coming here and open up that door, and actually the program is still going. It hadn't stopped. It's still going. So, man, that's major shout out to you for that, bro. You've been a big contribution to the city of Memphis, and I appreciate you. If nobody else do, I definitely appreciate you all that you have done for us. And over time, and like I say, even with Jeff, Jeff told me about when you was planting seeds in him when he was in high school. So you've been making impact here for years on top of years. So we appreciate you, bro, because something that you've done has influenced someone around this piece. So man, we're grateful for you, man, that partnership and that, you're a Memphian. I know you're from Detroit, but you from Memphis too, according to me. You know what I'm saying? So definitely a Memphian, bro. Cool, man. Well, bro, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you, sharing what you got, man. And always, you always a phone call away from whenever I need you, although we have different basketball philosophies, different sports philosophies, this drum thing, we can, we can meet right there in the middle.
Who you got this in the NFL this year?
My team ain't playing, so I don't even care about football no more. We just got a quarterback though. We got old Haskins. Shout out to them Steelers. You heard me.
They
Yeah.
picked up Dwayne Haskins?
Huh?
They picked up Dwayne Haskins?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we got him yesterday, man. That's
Okay.
what, making those sort of moves. If I have to pick a Super Bowl winner, if the Chiefs win Sunday, I'm gonna roll with them. If they win Sunday, I'm gonna roll with them. If they don't win, it don't even matter. That's my only little dog in the fight for my homeboy.
I mean, I get you. Well, I'm a Patriots fan. That ain't gonna change. But 12 all day, baby. Like,
Yeah.
twisted. I started to wear.
You started with his jersey?
Busy for this interview. Like, man, I'm kind of changed my mind on what I want to wear for the interview.
Listen, I'm glad you didn't, because I probably would have been making all type of cuts in this thing. But it's all good, man. I appreciate you once again, bro, man. We're gonna definitely have you on again for some more segments that we pull out the hat. So, man, thank you, bro. Thank you again, man.
All right, no problem.
All right, for Chop Nation, man. That's the end of this one. Always, first, make sure you subscribe. I need y'all to subscribe. Y'all watching, but you ain't subscribing. Let's fix that. But until next time, always remember, the chops don't stop. Y'all have a good one.
This is VRoc Chops.